Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colding, MikeColding.com, and this is part 2 to third-dimensional processing versus two-dimensional processing, which is where narcissists are stuck, okay? And so what I want to remind you is a narcissist's number one goal, okay, they're stuck in two-dimensional thinking. I'm going to use a piece of paper to give you a little bit of a graphic understanding. They're stuck, and because of that, they're very jealous of you. Think of it like this. So you have the left brain, the right brain, and then underneath you have the lower reptilian brain, okay? So you've got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Well, the reptilian brain is the son, like the child. The left brain is the father. It's about rules and structure and organization and responsibility. And that's why people that are in this part of the brain, they're like this. But you were never supposed to be stuck there. And that's what the serpent tricked us, all right? That's all logical math. This is the math, business, science brain. This is about rules and structure and organization. Now, I'm going to go back about the shame part. Hold on. Shame. Rules. And he knew the word N-E-W I keep bringing up in the last video, knowledge. And that's what brings up shame, because somebody made up a fucking rule and it wasn't even real. They literally just made it up out of I'm just going to be crude, but they literally pulled it out of their ass. It's like, who the fuck made up this rule? And that's what we're doing. Is we've got people called narcissists who are in power that are literally making rules up. I mean, holy shit. How many more rules do we need now? Well, more rules, but no, they know.
See, the truth is, the more rules you have, the more stress you have, the more fear, the more frustration, the more anxiety, the more violence. And that's why the world is blowing up right now, because everybody's trying to control everybody by literally making rules up at the drop of a hat. I'm going to say it again, just pulling it out of their ass. Like, wait, that doesn't even make any sense, right? Jesus was right when he says love is the fulfillment of all the commandments. It's love. If you love someone, you'll be polite to them. You won't steal from them. You won't covet their wife, and on and on. You'll just do the right thing. Whereas people who follow rules are like, well, it doesn't say I can't do it, so now they do something. They know that they're going to fuck someone over, hurt someone, or take advantage of a situation in a bad way that hurts people because, well, the rules say I can do it, and therefore I'm going to do it. So that is what's wrong with society right now. We think everything is about rules. No, the rules should be superseded, like they used to say in the court of law. In fact, I think they still should, and they still do. It's all about the intent of the rule, the intent of the law. It's not like, well, here's a law so I can screw you over now because I've got an advantage because of my position. Like, no, it's about the intention of it. And again, that comes back to the heart. And that's what everything should be about. If we can go back to, well, what is the intention of making up a rule in the first place? Well, it's so we can get along better. Well, now rules are being made to restrict people, to control people, to hold people back, to limit people. And that's all narcissistic stuff, and that's what we're dealing with. Narcissists love to make up rules at the drop of a hat and then punish you severely and make you feel either ashamed or guilty or fear. I had this girlfriend in high school who literally started doing this to me. I think it was our junior or senior year, and and finally one day I just go, I just yelled out, where the fuck is this invisible magical rule book that only you know about? I would love to read it. It was my way of saying, like, this is just bullshit. And so I was kind of proud of myself at a very young age calling her on that, because I don't know, I don't think most people would. They just go along with it. And that's what people are doing in society right now. They're just going along with all these new rules that are being made up every week, every month, every year. It's like there's too many freaking rules. And the rules, the intention of the rules that are being made now, it's not to make you happy or to keep you safe or help you get along with your fellow man. It's to control you and to limit you.
They know it's causing stress on the planet. The main thing that a I'm going to call it the narcissist society, the demonic society. They want to cause stress. They want to cause pressure. They want to control you because they know it freaks you the fuck out. Humans were never meant to be controlled. We were never meant to be dominated or domineered. And what does a narcissist do? That's all they do. It's all about control. It's all about power over. See, the difference between, there's two different kinds of power. There's left brain power. That's control. It's about, I gotta grab it. I gotta put a leash on it. I must control it. And then there's right brain power, whereas you let go of all control and now you're using more of an intuitive spiritual form of power, which is where we are going into as a universe. I want to say Earth, but it's not Earth. It's really the universe. People who operate from that can manifest. Now, I'm kind of giving away the next part. I don't want to give that away yet, so I'm going to back up. So, all right, let's go back to the rules and shame. So the left brain is about rules, structure, and organization. I've been teaching this for almost 30 years. Let me think. Is it over 30 years? I think it's 30 years. Yeah, I think it's about 30 years that I've been teaching this. So the thing about it is let's go back to the Bible. So in chapter 2, verse 25, the book of Genesis, says, and they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. For many years, I was like, yeah, so, like, why would they even write, like, what? That'd be like saying, and Michael wasn't hungry for chicken. And so what? You know? Well, I remember my pastor pulled me aside, because he talked about this in church one day. In fact, not one day. He brought this up a lot, like repeatedly. And he goes, Michael, before the tree of knowledge, rules, structure, and organization. I want to tell you a little trick that happened. Before the tree of knowledge, there were no rules. There was just being in the present moment. When you are open, when your chakras are open, when your heart energy is open, you know, your solar plexus, this is your power. When you close your solar plexus chakra, you're limited power. And that causes you, when people are like this, they're in their limited mind. They're literally operating off of the reptilian brain, communicating through the logical brain. They sound logical, but they're not logical at all. Usually they're the most illogical people on the planet. They don't make any sense to the extent that they say something and then 5 minutes later or the next day, let's stick with 5 minutes because it actually will happen this way. And then 5 minutes later, they'll say the complete opposite. Like, no, that can't be possible. And like, wait, you just said this was possible. This is the way, what you believed. And they go, oh, did I? Oh, shit. And then they try to justify it. Okay. So here's what happened. Let's go back. So in verse 25, chapter 2 of Genesis, it said, and they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. And after they eat of the fruit, it says in chapter 6, and when the woman saw chapter 7? Yeah, chapter 7, and the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. Wait, what? What are you talking about? That confused me. I went, Pastor Rex, what do you mean? Like, you mean they didn't know before? He's like, no. Like, how could they not know they were naked? He goes, because nobody taught them that they were naked. I said, what? What do you mean? He goes, Michael, when you were a little boy, you used to run around naked all the time. You didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, no, I didn't. And there was I don't know if it was his daughter's kid, but there was a kid that was literally running around naked at his house at the moment. And I was just like, oh, yeah. He goes, Michael, it's normal to be naked. I was like, no, he's not one of these people that goes out and I don't either. I don't go to like naked beaches or what do you call those? Nudist colonies. I don't do that. Okay. I'm not saying to go be naked. Now you can if you want. Okay. All I'm saying is this. Somebody came along and made up a rule.
Now here's the deal. It has nothing to do with the rule or making you feel ashamed of being naked or buying this kind of car, or wearing this color, red or yellow. What the whole goal is to close up your heart chakra. Another way of saying that is the whole goal was to close you off from your right brain, like a narcissist where they're stuck in their left brain and they have a wall up to the right brain and they don't want to open up to their emotions and feelings. And the right brain is the emotional, creative, spiritual brain. That is the open doorway to God. That's how you sup with God, meaning be with God. That's how you are in the presence of the Lord. So Adam and Eve were in this case, when you say symbolic, were when they were made to feel ashamed of being naked, and then all of a sudden God walks in the garden and says, and they hid, and God calls out and says, Adam, Eve, where art thou? And Adam said, I heard thy voice, and I was afraid, and I hid. That's the narcissist's number one goal, is to lock you away from God and make you close that door so you don't have any awareness of God or any connection. Now here's the deal. The reason why narcissists go after empaths, especially those that are about to become super empaths or about to pop wide open, is because we have open hearts, which leads other people to open their heart when they're in our presence, okay? Here's the other thing. The tree of knowledge is a lie. It's a trick. You think you're so smart, but you're not. You're using the smallest part of your brain that's in a closed box, so you have no access to any more information. And here's the deal. I do energy healing. I know for a fact that the way I open up is I open up to my right brain, and that's how I heal people. You have to tune into the spirit world or to energy or whatever you call it, and that's not done through the logical brain. It's done through the right brain, the open brain that connects to energy. And that's why narcissists go after people like me, because they want to shut us down. Because then other people would wake up and realize, like, wait a minute, we don't need all this medical stuff to heal people. We can heal people by doing it through energy work. Now here's the other thing. A lot of you are into manifestation. Well, where do you think manifestation comes from? The logical in the box closed brain or the open spiritual in tune brain, the energy brain? Yeah, that's right. So when a narcissist recognizes someone who's open, who manifests things, okay, I'm not even going to say that, they go after you. So here's my point. You can manifest things. That's why Jesus says, if ye believe, you shall receive whatever you ask for in prayer. And he says a couple other things like that in the Bible too. And it's like, okay, I got to say it. My pastor, I went to him and I read that verse out of the Bible in his office, and I read the other one where it says, if you believe, you can say unto this mountain, throw yourself into the ocean, and it shall be so. And there was another one I read, and he goes, well, you know, Jesus, he didn't mean that literally. And then I flipped back to the beginning of that book, I think it was Matthew, where Jesus says, say what you mean and mean what you say. And I read that, I go, so you're telling me the man that made the phrase, say what you mean what you say, didn't mean what he said? And he kind of, well, okay. And so here's the deal. I left the church after that. I was like, I was done. And it wasn't Pastor Rex, by the way. It was a different pastor. But it was a church I went to for a long time. And the thing is, I realized, like, a lot of these people that are in churches are not believers. They are religious people. They are rule followers. That's the left brain. The left brain is really good at following rules. That's not the spiritual brain, people. So here's the deal. That whole tree of knowledge thing, that thinking and reading more books, and this is going to give you a better life, and you're going to be able to figure out how to build a car in 1,000 years, and we're going to figure out how to make a wheel in 100,000 years. That's the slow way. That is the lie. When you are open to spirit, you can manifest things. And there's a lot of different books and different teachings that say that we used to be like Superman and Superwoman, where we could leap a tall building in a single bound, where we could literally fly around the earth and do all these incredible things. It was kind of like everything was like a microwave, where you could just click a button or imagine having it, and boom, it was there. The problem was, we got really bored because everything was easy. So there's this one teaching that says we're actually playing a game. We took away 99% of our powers, and part of the game is remembering that you actually can create stuff and manifest stuff. Okay? And there's people out there, I'm going to call them narcissists, that lie to you about this, and they try to take away your power.
And they said, the tree of knowledge, that's this brain. See, okay, I'm going to say it next. Okay, I'm going to write this down so I don't forget. Somebody came along and said, oh, you're naked, and you're going, what? What's that? That'd be like me saying a word to you that you've never heard, and you'd be like, what's that? Well, it means you don't have clothes. Well, what are clothes? And you say, well, these things. And you know, see, before you probably look at them like, are you wearing something? So what? Like, no big deal. Or you didn't. No big deal. Nobody cared, right? And then he said, here's the rule. If you're naked, that's bad. And you should feel ashamed. And they do the facial look, and they do the pointing of the finger, and they literally send energy of shame onto you. The cloak of shame. Okay? And all of a sudden, now you feel shameful for that. And then they say money is the root of all evil. The Bible doesn't say that. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. Meaning you put money above all your other values, from health to love to honesty to intelligence to creativity to fun to all these things. When you put money ahead of everything, money in of itself is not bad. It's just money's kind of something that you really have to respect. You have to the word husbandry really fits but it takes a long time to explain that. It basically means you need to care for it. If it's your number one value, it's leading you, and you're not leading it. You need to respect money and lead money, so you can be as rich as possible. And the funny thing, I in the Old Testament, I read it over and over. Pastor X just had me keep reading. He goes, read it again, read this one, read the next one. Now I want you to read this, just for years. And I go, why does it? I go, everyone in the church says money's the root of all evil, but right here, I don't have it marked right now, but it's whatever. I go, it says the love of money. He goes, Michael, how many times in church have I brought that verse up? How many times? I was like, wow, you have. I go, but everyone in the pews, basically, says that money's bad and money's evil and that you shouldn't want to be rich. And yet in the Old Testament, it says over and over, God literally commands, be rich, be wealthy, prosper, live an abundant life. I had them marked at the time, and I was pulling them up. I go, that's God telling you that. I go, as far as I'm concerned, that's a command. He goes, you're right. You're supposed to be wealthy. You're supposed to be prosperous. You're supposed to live a happy, prosperous, abundant life. We even have songs that say that in church. I go, yeah, but everyone tells me that being wealthy is wrong. He goes, Michael, how many times have I told you? Stop listening to the people in the pews and put your nose in the Word. Now, people who haven't been following my past videos, they're going to think, oh, is this a Christian channel? Not at all. Because religion is the left brain. That's about rules, structure, organization. This is a spiritual channel. This is the right brain. We want to open you up to spirituality, your intuition. Okay, now, I don't want to give that away. I almost gave it away, damn it. All right. So here's the reason why I bring this up is because my last narc, it was actually another person before that too, though. When I saw it, I was like, what the fuck? It's like, whenever you have something in life that you love, that you're passionate about, and you're starting to make more money, or it could be just a hobby, or it could be a sport, they come along and say, well, that's bad. Well, you don't actually, and they'll say, well, you don't actually believe that, do you? I'm like, well, what do you mean? Well, that's bad. And they're really good at giving you what I call the face, right? Well, that's wrong. And their voice, they get dramatic, like they're in Hollywood acting. And you're just like, whoa. And they're really good at, I call it the cloak of shame or the cloak of doubt. And they're really just making you, oh, and they will get you to stop doing something that you love, something that you're good at, something that can make you wealthy and prosperous. A narcissist's number one job on the planet is just to make you miserable, to ruin your life and ruin as many people's lives as possible. Now, I want you to listen really closely. A narcissist's job is to ruin your life. And they've got a bag of tricks. Here's trick number 1, trick number 2, trick number 3. They will do anything they can to harm you, to hurt you, physically, emotionally, financially, socially. They will do anything. And then just walk away. They don't give a shit. They're creatures. I want to turn this back around and get positive. So here's the point. You could be doing something your whole life and not think nothing of it. The neighbors don't think nothing of it. The neighbors down there, the people in the next town, the people at church, and it doesn't, you don't even notice it. Such as there's a band called Tesla that was really famous in the 80s and 90s when I was going through high school. And they have a song. And back then I didn't get it. It wasn't until after I woke up, I was like, oh my God, that's what they're talking. They're talking about the book of Genesis. It says, signs everywhere, signs rocking and a rolling. Bah, 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 da, da. I can't remember the last words. But it's a story about how he was a kid and he used to walk from his home, go across this hill, to go to school, to go to downtown, and he'd come back on this hill. And one day he was going on his walk, and there was a fence up. And there were signs everywhere that said, do not trespass, penal code C61342. And then it wasn't just, he goes, well, wait a minute. Like, So now if I walk on this path to school, to work, to go downtown, it's wrong, and I'm going to get arrested. I'm going to get thrown in jail, and I'm going to be punished because this is wrong. Who made this rule up? I've been doing this since I was a little child. That's the world we live in. Signs, signs everywhere, signs rocking and reeling, right? People are just making up rules. When I was a little kid, no, let's go to the Bible. And it's one of the reasons why I don't remember if it's book of Leviticus or Numbers, probably Numbers. But it was like, Pastor Rex goes, now read it again, read it again. I'm like, I read it 5 times already from beginning to end. He goes, read it again. All right. And I go, I get it. It's a bunch of numbers and rules and distances. This was talking about when they made the sacrifice tables to sacrifice the animals, the lamb and the bulls and everything else for people's sins, right? This is going to free you. This is something I teach in my course for men, Crack the Female Code. Everything that I've taught you is in my course for men, Crack the Female Code, because men and women process differently. Okay, I'm not going to go in that right now, but I'm going to stick to this because this frees you from your shame. It frees you from your guilt. So what happened was, somewhere along the line, it's called the original sin. We're talking about, most people don't know what sin is or what the original sin is. So Satan, the serpent in chapter 3 that we're talking about, the book of Genesis, he basically he manipulated them. He made them believe, oh, this is not bad, this is wrong. Okay. Let me write that down. Present moment equals this 3/5. Okay. God, this is so hard to put this together. Okay. So they started to believe things that the subtle serpent was telling them. Oh, you're naked. That's wrong. This is what it talks about when your eyes are opened. They're not really being opened. They're being closed. When Jesus says you have eyes that you cannot see, you have ears that you cannot hear, he means your chakras are closed, your pupils are tiny, like the eye of the needle, right? Little tiny pupil, right? That means you're very narrow and you're all the way to the left, right? And you're analyzing everything. And remember, the left brain is about rules. Rules. The left brain really believes if you make more rules, life will be better. Is the world getting better? No, it's becoming more chaotic. It's becoming more violent. There's more pestilence. There's more disease. There's more famine. There's more every horrible thing on the planet. I'm not going to talk about the bad things like murder and all that. I don't want to go on down that path. More rules doesn't make the world better. So here's what happened. So I don't know if it's the book of Numbers or Leviticus, I forget, but it was the one he had me read over and over and over, and it was talking about how they would build the door frame, and it was made of this, and with gold inlaid this, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 6 meters, 3 meters, all this, and they described the table and how many steps led up to it, and how wide it was, and how thick it was, and how much gold was on it, and all this stuff, and how they made, in this one room, it was 12 of these sacrificial tables, and then there were so many, and what happened was in the beginning, because I actually don't like the left brain. I cringe. I'm good at it, but I don't like being stuck there. And that's a key word. The goal is to not be stuck. And that's what I do with men is I unstick them, because money is the real thing that caused people to go over the left brain. Because now if you can make money, you don't have to dig the ditches, which brings you into your body, which brings you into the 5 senses, which is the Garden of Eden, the present moment. When you do physical stuff, you're in the present moment. That's why when you lift weights and you run and you do stuff, and afterwards you feel really good for about 4, 5, 6 hours of stuff. But then you start to read and do math and Chinese, you get stuck up in this brain. Oh, I got a headache, man. That's because you closed and it hurts and you don't feel free and you get stressed here. A narcissist's number one goal is to get you there. And they've effectively done it without actually doing it. Computers are all about left brain processing, which means you're closed. All right. See, this is a complicated subject, but when you see it, it's really simple. It's either closed, which puts you in the left brain, or open, which opens you up to the open right brain and connects you to your body into the presence of the Lord. Into the present moment. The presence of the Lord. All right. So I'm going to finish up with this story. So in the Bible, it was talking about all these sacrificial tables and the tents and how tall and all these. I just like, it was driving me fucking nuts. And I think Pastor X wanted me to get to that point. And I finally saw it. It's like, oh, so in the very beginning, they only sacrificed one animal for the whole tribe. And they did it once, one day, one animal a year. And all your sins were forgiven. Right? Hold on. I don't want to forget this. And all your sins were forgiven. Right? And then what happened was it became one animal per month. Because, well, for this sin, we got to kill a dove. And for this sin, and then it became one animal a week. And then there was special holidays for certain sins and certain animals, for from a sheep to a dove to a bull to a sacrificial lamb to this to that, and there's all these things that were being sacrificed. And it literally said in the Bible that, because they also described a gutter that went down. They didn't call it a gutter; they called it, I forget the name of it. How it was so deep and so wide, and then it said there were so many priests sacrificing animals that it was flowing blood 24/7, and it said as if a spigot, meaning a water faucet, had been turned on, and blood was just constantly flowing nonstop. And then what happened was God finally realized, because literally at one point it was like you couldn't have sex with your wife if she was on her period. And then it was for this, and then it was for that. And it was just all these freaking things. There was all these rules and rules and rules and new rules and new rules and new rules. People misunderstood something. Let's take pork. Most Christians eat pork now. But in the Bible it says you shouldn't eat pork. Why? Because it'll kill you back then.
See, a lot of people would call these commandments, which I think technically they were, but they're really rules to keep you alive and healthy. They were never designed to make you feel ashamed of yourself, to close off from God. And that's where people completely, like shaming someone is like the worst thing you can do. It's absolutely, here's the deal. The demonic narcissists were around back then, and they twisted all this stuff. Oh, you should feel ashamed of yourself. And God's like, no, I'm not trying to make you feel, I'm not sitting here making these rules up. I'm just saying, look, if you eat this pork, because back then they didn't know how to clean it, or the shellfish, again, they didn't know how to clean that back then. We do now, but back then, and God say, it'll kill you, so don't eat it, and don't do this, so you can stay healthy. And that it was a very loving, kind gesture. It wasn't some punishment thing that now people make up.
Because back then, they didn't know how to cook and or clean pork properly, because there was toxins in it that would kill you. Same thing with shellfish. In the Old Testament, it says, thou shalt not eat shellfish. Well, it didn't say thou shalt. I don't think it did. But it said don't eat shellfish. And the people are like, oh, because it's a sin. Don't eat pork because it's a sin, right? And then people try to explain that. No, it's not a sin. It will kill you. Back then, if you ate shellfish, they absolutely did not know how to clean shellfish at all, because it would kill you. God was actually trying to give you health and nutrition rules so you could be a healthy, happy human being. That's all God cared about. God's not this, I'm going to burn you in hell if you eat pork or shellfish. You're going to hell, right? You're going to live a horrible life. You're going to die because you ate shellfish back in the day when they didn't have the ability or know-how of how to clean it out. Same thing if you sleep with your wife when she's on her period. Well, that's dead blood, and it could be infectious, and you're not supposed to, and it can give you an infection. You could possibly die, or other bad things could happen. So when you start realizing, wait a minute, so these were rules to help you, not like rules like you must or you're going to hell because God hates you. Okay, I'm going to say something right now. I'm just going to say it. If you believe that God is this demonic creature that walks around looking to find your mistakes and what have you done wrong, and I'm sending you to hell, I want to punish you, I want to torture you with fire for all eternity. If you really think that God can't wait for you to make the smallest mistake to burn you, to burn your skin for all eternity, Get off my channel. That's not what God's doing. God loves you. God doesn't want to torture children. God doesn't want to burn people for all eternity. That's bullshit. Okay? That's called demonic narcissism. Any of you that have dealt with a narcissist, you know this, and I know you do. They constantly tell you, oh, that's wrong, oh, that's bad. And they're really good at not even having to verbally say it. It's just that look. They give you that look, like, you know, or it could be so. I'll give you one. I had rice with my breakfast, and I put ketchup on it, and two of these narcissists just went, like, it was like, right? And it was just like this fucking, like, and I remember looking at them like, really, like, fucking ketchup is like that just ruined your morning, and it did. Well, what they were trying to do is put the shame, oh, ketchup and rice, oh my God, horrid, the horror. You need to start laughing at narcissists. You need to start seeing the ridiculousness of those fuckers, and they are ridiculous. Hey, this is Mike Colling, MikeColling.com. I'm going to go to part 3, and I'm going to finish the story, because it does, I'm going to finish the story of the tables, the sacrifice, and where mankind missed out. And I'm going to talk about original sin.
Original sin is when you hide from God like Adam and Eve did. It's when you go into your ego or your left brain into the box and you close the door to your right brain to the extent that you're just disconnect from God and you're not aware. That's sin right there. Eating pork, eating shellfish, that is not sin. That's not going to send you to hell.
Sin. I'll see you in part 3. Hey, this is Mike Colling, MikeColling.com. Go to my website, Mike Colling, MikeKollin.com. I'm a dating and relationship expert in everything. Here's a funny thing. Everything I'm teaching you today and in most of my videos is taught in the course Cracked Female Code to free you, to free your mind. There was a song in the 80s that was, free your mind, the rest will follow. Bah, 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 bah. It was a powerful song. All beautiful, bold black women. And it came out, I think it was in the mid-80s or maybe late. No, I think it was mid-80s. And it was kind of a bold statement because these are women saying, I'm in my power because I freed my mind. They freed their mind. This is the closed mind, and this is the open mind. They literally dropped into their power. There's something I call on a lot of my blogs, Twitters, usually my homepage, I have it on it, but I call it stepping back into your power. When you connect with yourself, when you learn how to do that, all of a sudden you look through people's bullshit. You got someone you're dating, you got a friend that's a narcissist, and they make up a rule, they make up another rule, and you finally go, who the fuck are you? Like, where is the, I said this to my high school girlfriend, I forget what the rule was, but I go, where did this magic rule come from? And she goes, what? I go, what invisible book are you reading that I haven't found yet? Right? They're fucking liars. All they're trying to do is control you and then torture you. It's like they want to put you in a controlled environment, like a box, and then poke you with needles and just fuck with you. Okay? That's what we're dealing with. When you take my course, you don't have to take Cracked Female course, but it's all infused in that. When you enter that door, when you first walk in, you're coming in like this stuck being and you don't know it. When you walk out the other end, that door is wide open and you are free for the first time in your life. And all of a sudden, meeting women, talking to women, and it's not just for men, it's for women too. Obviously, we wouldn't teach you Cracked Female. There's another course for women called Why Men Just Don't Get It. It frees you. It helps you become emotionally grounded, all right? The whole goal is to get you out of your thinking. Free your mind. I think it says your ass will follow. That was one, or is it free? I know that maybe that was the joke about the song, but it was like free your mind and the rest of you comes along, all right? I'll see you in the next video. God bless you guys.